Insights, offering free online, on-site, and on-air B-Warp presentations. The Black Wealth Attainment and Retention Programs helps our community acquire, sustain, and pass down legacy wealth. High school seniors can apply for this year's scholarship awards at parksideedc.org. Scholarships will be awarded at Parkside EDC's Gospel/Jazz Brunch on Sunday, April the 27th. For details, tickets, or donations, please visit parksideedc.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
First things first.
First things first, it's the DU General, Money P. I'ma put you up on the schedule, 6 to 9, 8 weekdays, not 2 and 7. Let's go. We got a lot to talk about, so much to pedal through. Unapologetically progressive. Tune to KBLA 1580 to get the mess. We're your ancestors' favorite radio station. First black on talk radio, left side of the nation. Me and Dominique DiPrima go way back. Time Smiley making sure the station stays black. Discussing all the issues in our community. We're hosted black and brown and others find unity. So let's talk about it. Maybe we can improve it. Digital underground, always down with the movement. So we tune in. The first things first with the queen of Black Talk Radio, Dominique DiPrima. Go sis.
First things first.
KBLA Talk 1580, good morning and God bless. I'm Dominique DiPrima. This show right here that you're with this morning is called First Things First, and my very first thing today and every day, giving thanks, giving praises, and asking for blessings from the Most High, asking for the blessings of the ancestors and the elders, and let's go. Let's do this together. We got a lot to talk about, a lot to do. Okay, so it is a Wealth Building Wednesday. Every Wednesday is a Wealth Building Wednesday around here. What does that mean? It means that hour one, we look local. Hour two, we go international, national, international, and beyond. But we also start off the hour with a Wealth Building Wednesday, putting a spotlight on a Black-owned, BIPOC-owned small business or socially conscious enterprise. Sometimes they are resources for businesses. That is the type of spotlight we will have today. And then in the third hour, we do a deep dive with a hot topic or a hot person, a person of interest to you. And we are on point with that schedule today. I'm excited to welcome in Ben Caldwell of the Chaos Network. He is truly a Leimert Park legend, and it's been far too long since I have talked with him. In fact, I don't think he's ever stepped to my mic at this radio station. So I'm excited about that. It is also local, national, and international, the topic at the top of the show, which is immigration, and we'll be joined shortly by the director of the Black Alliance for Just Immigration. So many moves going on, people being deported, people being detained. Some have papers, some don't have papers, some have some kind of in-between papers. What is going on? Has anything even really changed? All of that we will address this morning. I do want to take, I guess, point of privilege, we can call it that, for the angelversary of my friend Eazy-E, Eric Wright. Rest in peace, Eric. And for those of you who are new to the show, because I know we have a lot of folks that are now joining our KBLA delegation all over the country and all over the world, and I'm really grateful for that. But it may seem illogical to you that me, Dominique DiPrima, who considers herself at least a womanist and definitely a feminist, pays tribute to Eazy-E, and we did have an unlikely friendship when I moved to LA in the 90s. Yeah, way back then. Um, he was one of the people that I actually became friends with. And I'm not one of these folks that pals around with a whole bunch of celebs. Not that I have any problem with it. It's just never been my thing, per se. I know people because I interview them. I talk with them, maybe MC shows where there are various celebrities or dignitaries, and I know them in that context. But I'm not hanging out, partying or whatever. It's not, there's no judgment there. It's just not what I've done in my lifetime. And for whatever reason, Eric and I became friends. Well, we became friends because he wanted to start Ruthless Radio. He had this idea to start something called Ruthless Radio. And he had been trying to get in touch with the leadership of the radio station I worked at the time, the original Beat. And folks were, I guess, intimidated or whatever by Easy, NWA, the image, everything, I guess, and everything that came with it. And me and my girlfriend, Mariama, who was assistant music director at that time, she had worked her way up. That's why ended up becoming a music director. And really worked her way up in the radio landscape, was a radio legend. She's now doing something else because she got tired of this entertainment business stuff. But we went to station management and basically begged them to meet with Eazy-E because we knew we're from the Bay Area. We don't really know LA. We're trying to win here and we're outsiders in this complicated landscape of Southern California. And eventually they did agree to that meeting. And then Eric became, he launched Ruthless Radio, but he became part of that iteration of the Beat. One of the reasons we were able to go to #1, and it was because of me and my girl Mariama. And as a result of that, me and Eric became friends. He talks about it. There's an issue of Rap Pages if you go back where he talks about how I was one of the people that opened the door for him. The other one was Mariama, because I never would have met him if it wasn't for Mariama, who booked him and Ice Cube together on my show for one of my very first broadcasts here in Southern California, one of my welcome to LA broadcasts. And so rest in peace, Eric. That's why I talk about him. That's why we became friends. And the man who, wrote many a controversial song, also had a lot of respect for women. I know that might sound crazy to you, but he had a lot of women in positions of authority within his organization. Always treated me with utmost respect and helped me actually with my show. You should get this person, Dominique. And he'd get out his cell phone and try to get them to come and do street science. And just rest in peace, Eric. My theories about how he was unalived, those of you who listen all the time already know, but that's a conversation for another day. So rest in peace, Eric Wright, Eazy-E. There's so much more to you than people know. Okay, we had to go all around the world, but we have found her. She's a human and civil rights attorney with a specialty in criminal defense. Going back to those days in the 90s, she went to Cornell, y'all, and graduated, got a law degree from UCLA, and she worked with Chokwe Lumumba at the Black Law Institute. She has done all kinds of community activism within the legal space, including organizing an aspect of the defense for the LA 4 Plus, which was a nickname given to those men that were charged with the attack on Reginald Denny so many years ago. She is the executive director now of Black Alliance for Just Immigration. Attorney Nana Gyamfi, good morning.
Greetings from Ghana. How are you?
Okay, I wasn't going to put you on blast, but since you went there, yes, she's all the way on the other side of the planet, luxuriating in a different form of government. Well, I don't know if we could say form, a different administration. Let me put it that way.
A different administration indeed. Yeah, I got to put that up front because, I also have Ghana connection. So we'll see. We'll hope that we make it through this hour without too many issues, but very glad to be out here with you.
Yeah. Right. All of the technology and Mercury's in retrograde. So we're having LA technology challenges at the moment. At the moment, it's global. So Black Alliance for Just Immigration, for those not paying attention to this show, is what? Let's start there.
So Black Alliance for Just Immigration, more commonly known as BAJI, it was founded in 2006 by African Americans, Black folks from the Caribbean and from the continent, to fight for the rights of Black immigrants and Black Americans. The goal is to improve the conditions of our communities by advancing both racial justice, addressing anti-Blackness, and advancing migrant rights. We're a national organization, but we have a staff that is all over the country, including in Los Angeles and the IE.
And this moment that we're in right now, where there is some division, I got a piece of hate mail yesterday. There's some division between African Americans and, Caribbean or diasporic Africans from other places. There's also a lot more travel and trade and sort of communication, I think. At the same time, there's this division. But that is part of what BAJI does within the immigration space, right? Because if you are paying attention beyond just the Twitter talking points, there is a long history of racism and racial division around the history of immigration.
Absolutely, yes. So there's, two different pieces, I think, that BAJI does that may be different from other immigrant rights organizations and even Black immigrant rights organizations. One piece is lifting up anti-Blackness and racism within the immigrant rights movement in terms of people that are pushing for immigrant rights, but also within immigrant communities, which includes Black immigrant communities, right? So really making it clear that we're not going to leapfrog over African Americans into some land of milk and honey, making it clear that many of the perceptions we have about Black Americans are based upon stories that they're not telling about themselves, right? And making it clear that there's always this effort, even within Black American community, to try to be, different, better, special, exceptional. You're not like the roundaway. You're not like the who and what. You don't sag your pants, whatever. There's always some effort that this country puts on Black people to try to separate themselves and not make themselves, as one of my good friends says, that Black person hanging from the tree, right? It's a form of security and protection. And so we press on that and push on that within the immigrant rights movement. But then we also work with our Black American siblings to remind us that though we have differences, that, in terms of our cultural differences, where we're, coming from in terms of locations, how we view things, that's no different than other Black folks in the so-called New World, right, in the Americas, who also have a different experience and have similar experiences, and that the anti-Blackness that we face, that anti-Blackness is something that we need to confront together. And so even though we may have varying instances or ways in which it impacts us, if my birthright citizenship is taken away as a person who was born in this country, it's not really because they're after me. It's really because they're after you, Dominique. You know what I'm saying? It's really because they want to return things to a time when all Black people, however long their ancestors were in this country, are second-class citizens and, chattel. And so we've got to fight those battles together.
And the headlines around this issue of immigration are coming fast and furious. So I want to get your thoughts on them when we continue this conversation. As a lawyer, as the leader of Black Alliance for Just Immigration, or BAJI, and, just as a smart person with a lot of opinions, because there's so much happening. And it feels like there's some mixed signals and confusing information being put out there. So we got a lot to talk about. You're welcome into this conversation. 800-920-1580. That is the number. Any hour that I'm on the air, I welcome you in. I'm Dominique DiPrima, and this is KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
The revolution will not be televised.
What's up? It is Killer Mike, also known as Michael Render, and I'm encouraging you to listen to more, not less, of Truth Time with Dr. Cornell West and Senator Nina Turner on KBLA Talk 1580.
The IRS finally caught up with Louie.
I hadn't paid my taxes in 8 years. I owe the IRS a lot of money.
Louie was in deep trouble.
We're going to take your house, put a lien on your bank account, garnish your pay. They don't care. They're going to take your paycheck.
Louie found out about Optima Tax Relief, the leading tax resolution firm. A-plus rated by the Better Business Bureau, they've resolved over $1 billion for their clients.
Optima Tax, they help me. They calm me down. They make me feel comfortable, and I trust them.
Louie has a lot to be thankful for.
I don't owe the IRS anymore, and I'm able to live a comfortable life, a lot better life. It was because of Optima Tax.
For tax help you can trust, call Optima now for a free consultation. Take it from Louie.
If you owe the IRS, don't go it alone. Give Optima Tax a call. They can help you.
Call 800-919-9077. 800-919-9077. 800-919-9077.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
We've got a lot to talk about.
Hi, I'm Ray Richardson, your sports connection here at KBLA Talk 1580. Join me and my co-host Neil Scarborough every Saturday night at 7 for Out of Bounds, the show that brings some flavor to the world of sports for 60 minutes. We take you beyond the scores and press conferences. We give you our point of view, the way black folks see what's going down. You can join the conversation and give us your analysis at 1-800-920-1580. Out of Bounds every Saturday night at 7 on KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
You like the style, though.
Our daughter Jessie loves playing detective.
A clue.
But since we discovered she has sensitive skin, we've been playing detective too.
We thought the problem was our puppy.
But it was actually our old detergent.
Aha.
So we switched to Tide Free and Gentle. Tide Free and Gentle provides an excellent Tide clean, and it doesn't leave behind irritating residues like dyes or perfumes, so it's gentle on your skin.
Case closed.
If it's got to be clean, it's got to be Tide Free and Gentle.
Ever have one of those days where your gut just feels blah?
Ugh, yes.
Occasional bloating or gas could be signs that your gut is out of balance, but Align Probiotic can help. Align 24/7 Digestive Support is a daily use probiotic with a unique strain to help relieve occasional digestive issues. It's the #1 doctor-recommended brand. So when you feel the signs, it's time to try Align. Align Probiotic. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Your ancestors' favorite radio station, and your favorite morning show host. Let's get back to Dominique DiPrima right now.
Right now, talking with attorney Nana Gyamfi, Executive Director of BAJI. So let's start in the broader sense. When we spoke last about this, I had asked you, we know that President Barack Obama is still the king of deportations. He deported more than Biden, more than Trump's first term. And I was wondering, is it really more hype about the aggressive tactics and sort of the media shock and awe, these showy, scary raids and stuff? Because it seemed like the numbers were still lower for deportation than under the Biden administration and definitely under the Obama administration. I haven't seen new data, but as I notice that the ICE officials are now detaining green card holders and, people that are here legally, tourists and whatnot, it does give the impression that the numbers are going to be up. Where are we overall with deportations in this administration?
So the numbers at this point are not as high as they obviously would like. And, you don't get numbers as quickly as you would like. But even with the regularity that they give them, it seems that the numbers are still at Biden levels or below. I will say that by the time we got out of the Biden administration, reports from the Department of Homeland Security showed that the Biden administration had the most number of deportations of any president in 10 years.
Oh, so he passed up Obama.
So Obama, Obama had to give up the crown.
I didn't
And
realize that.
so Trump wants to beat those numbers. And that's why you see him now just really spreading out the net in terms of who's being pulled into it, because those numbers are not being met. Now, at the same time that those numbers are not being met, there are so many detention prisons that are filled. ICE had started, there was a report that came out about ICE releasing people from detention prisons. Of course, that was quickly stifled. But that's part of why this administration has increased its energy on getting people out of the country, seeing who else they can take people to, whether that be Panama, whether that be El Salvador. They tried Guantanamo, but that didn't quite work out the way they thought. It was really expensive, and people were, really yelling and screaming, and it was going to be more of a hassle for them than a benefit. But, I think even with the proposed countries he's talking about banning, including people from St. Kitts and Nevis and Dominica. This is a man who said Lesotho was a country he'd never heard of. So I don't know how he's heard of all these other countries. But I think part of that may be because he wants to twist their arms into taking people that are, this country wants to deport, because they actually don't even have the capacity to hold all the people that he wants to deport at the numbers that he's talking about, or detain, at the numbers that he's talking about. So I think it still is a lot more of the shock and awe. Obviously, I don't want to take away from the fact that people are being detained, but the way in which they're going after people, just got word that this brother, Robert Planton, who is a person who is criminalized, he had gotten out, was doing all this work in the community. They waited in the hallway for him for 4 hours and just took him in this morning in New York City, right? And so we know that that's happening. Your brother had to yell and scream to get them to stop running into Newark, grabbing people. So I'm not going to pretend that's not occurring. But the reason they're doing it at this heightened level is because they're not getting the numbers they want to get. Right,
because he told a big lie about millions of undocumented criminals roaming the streets and terrorizing people, which isn't actually true. While there are undocumented people here, most of the ones with criminal records had already been arrested, deported, or jailed, right? And so now he's got to get bodies. So, I don't know. They lie about everything else. I don't know why he appears to need evidence on this. But I feel like that's what they're doing, is pursuing his talking point of having large numbers of people that they can claim they've deported.
Absolutely. Remember his crowds, the crowd size, and his obsession.
Yeah.
This man got a number obsession, a size and number obsession. I'll leave it at that, right? And so this is where we are. And so he's always going to do that. He's always going to try to make it seem as if he's bigger, his size, his crowds are bigger, his polls are bigger, the number of people he's capturing is bigger. That's his thing. And, kudos to the community. Kudos to the community and those people that have been pushing back against these deportations and against these detentions. We're doing a good job.
But there's, whether the numbers are up or the numbers are down, there are some things that seem illegal and alarming, right? One of them is what you just mentioned, which is detaining people in foreign prisons. Those Venezuelans that the judge said he couldn't deport, that he defied that judge and deported them anyway, they didn't go to Venezuela. They went to El Salvador.
No.
And El Salvador is a totalitarian, authoritarian, scary doggone regime, which he gave $6 million to house those. How is that legal?
It's not legal. That's why the judge told him, no, you can't do that. I think it's something that, again, putting on, the black hat that I never take off, if we look at El Salvador and Bukele, President Bukele when Secretary of State Little Marco Rubio went to see him to talk about this plan, he indicated that he would take immigrants who were detained in the United States, but he would also take criminalized U.S. citizens. In other words, bring the people that you are holding in prison, whether it be detention prison or criminal punishment prison, and bring them here, where 1 out of every 43 Salvi in El Salvador is in prison. 1 out of every 43. Who do you think they're going to take there? Is it not clear that it's going to be black folks who already often can't figure out how and can't find ways because of accessibility issues to visit their family members? Let's say if you live in LA, out in the boondocks where these prisons are, what happens when they move your loved one to El Salvador? And that's really what this is about.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, and the thing about it is people don't understand the difference between a prison here and a prison there. We only got a minute, but a prison in El Salvador is not like a prison here. You will have no rights, black people.
Yeah, and I mean, it's like the worst of the prisons here. Angola prison, prisons in the South, or plantation prisons where we hear about people dying because they've been eaten up by maggots in their cell. That happens here in the United States, and that's the routine dungeon situation in this prison that we're talking about. And so, again, people have to be concerned.
Right. And I know even, with people's, some folks I even have one family member who's going, yay, more for us, more apartments, more jobs, more this, more that. They're deporting immigrants. But I don't think people are really quite getting their minds around the fact that they have already said precisely what you're pointing out, which they have already said. We can send people, existing prisoners, into these foreign prisons. And by existing prisoners, black people, they mean us. News, traffic, and sports, then more with attorney Nana Gyamfi on KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
I'm Bree Wood with 4 Things You Should Know with BIN News. President Trump said his national security advisor has learned a lesson after adding a reporter to a group text discussing Yemen strikes. He called it a minor glitch, and Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt confirmed no classified material was shared. With 14 weeks until New York City's Democratic primary, former Governor Andrew Cuomo leads the mayor's race poll with 41% support, while Mayor Eric Adams is 4th with 6%. The primary is on June 24th. Stocks edged higher on Wall Street despite a drop in consumer confidence and concerns over tariffs and inflation. The Dow Jones rose 4 points, the S&P 500 added 9 points, and the Nasdaq gained 83 points. And civil rights attorney Ben Crump donated $10,000 to HBCU Tennessee State University's historic hockey program. This donation supports the university's efforts to expand its athletic program and promote diversity in sports. Get BIN News on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Change the way you see the world at the San Diego Zoo Safari Park. Depart from their new Safari Excursions Depot and embark on a once-in-a-lifetime experience you'll never forget. Plus, every adventure helps support wildlife worldwide. Plan your visit to the San Diego Zoo Safari Park today.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
There was an ugly side to USC star Juju Watkins' season-ending knee injury Monday night at the Galen Center. As painful as it was to see the All-American from Compton go down, many USC fans made it much worse by targeting Mississippi State players with angry comments and insults. The tension caused by USC fans almost led to a post-game brawl between USC and Mississippi State players during the handshake. Denham DeShields and Chandler Prater were the 2 Mississippi State players defending Watkins when she went down. Neither player was charged with a flagrant foul. Watkins' knee buckled before DeShields and Prater made incidental contact with Watkins. Everyone is agonizing over Watkins' injury, but it's unfortunate and unfair to blame DeShields and Prater. Both were simply making a basketball play that happens all the time. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
At the tone, please record your message.
You ready? Drop it!
Mr. Tavis Smiley, preach it. Thank you, man. Politics in this country is crazy. You put things in perspective that even I didn't. The right is playing fast and loose with facts and scapegoating everyone under the sun, especially black and brown people. As a white man, I do not agree with this, and I am on my black and brown brothers and sisters' side. Fight the good fight. Know that I am part of the resistance. Let's fight the power.
Our freedom of speech is freedom of death. We got to fight the powers that be.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black. At Exquisite Family Mortuary, we know how overwhelming it can be planning a meaningful farewell for your loved one. Secure your peace of mind by calling Charlotte White at 323-577-5562. That's Charlotte White at 323-577-5562. From traditional funeral services to memorials to direct cremation, pre-needs, and more. Call Charlotte White at Exquisite Family Mortuary for Southern hospitality in Southern California. That's Charlotte White at 323-577-5562. Exquisite Family Mortuary is located nearby in Inglewood, California. Exquisite Family Mortuary, where your loved one becomes our loved one.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
KBLA Talk 1580 is pleased to announce that, like George and Weezy,
Well, we're moving on now.
earlier this year, we were named as semifinalists for the American Climate Leadership Awards 2025. Wait for it. Wait for it.
You ready?
KBLA Talk 1580 was recently selected as one of 10 finalists being considered for this prestigious award. Hundreds of organizations, institutions, and even cities were nominated in the selection process. But KBLA Talk 1580 has made it to the finals. You're invited to watch live on Wednesday, April 16th at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Central, as Eco America announces the winner and the runner-up, awarding over $200,000 in prize money. To watch live, just go to ecoamerica.org to register and attend the online ceremony. That's ecoamerica.org. Don't miss the presentation of the American Climate Leadership Awards 2025, Wednesday, April 16th, and wish us luck. Caring about the climate, caring about the community, changing the conversation. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we've got your black. Thanks for waking up with Dominique DiPrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
Yes, I thank you, and I'm so thankful that we've got live from Ghana, West Africa, Attorney Nana Gyamfi joining us this morning. She's Executive Director of BAJI. So I'm going to ask you a whole bunch of stuff because there's a whole bunch of stuff happening. There's an announcement now that the IRS is going to start sharing information with ICE to help them locate undocumented persons and deport them. It's bizarre to me because immigrants paid $96.7 billion in federal, state, and local taxes in 2022, almost $100 billion. If the IRS is turning over their information, why would they pay? Why would they engage with the IRS? See, experts are saying this is going to cost this country billions in tax revenue. So there's that. And then, but on the other hand, why do undocumented people even pay taxes and give their information to the IRS?
So the reason that undocumented people pay taxes and give their information, well, there's a couple of reasons. One of them is really trying to be a part of the society, right? Trying to belong. And the understanding is that unless you're a billionaire, you're supposed to pay taxes. That's the understanding, because of course we have immigrants like Elon Musk who are not paying any taxes. But
Right.
we digress. But, so that's one part of it. The second part of it is that if there's going to be any kind of comprehensive immigration reform that is similar to anything that's been proposed in the past, there's going to be a requirement that you pay taxes, that you show that you've paid taxes in the past, maybe over the past 5 years, maybe over the past 10 years, depending on what the new law would say. And that's the part, Dominique, that is so sort of evil, insidious about this, because the country has been, for the longest time, insisting that immigrants pay taxes whether they are documented or not, right? And using the paying of taxes as a requirement if you want to regularize your status and get out of the undocumented space. And the fact that you have so many millions of documented immigrants who have done that is evidence that they want to get out of that space and are willing to contribute to the society that they're a part of in order to get that. Now that's being used as a weapon against them to use, the information of where they're staying, where they live, et cetera, that they've provided willingly to the IRS to now deport them, detain them, which, as you pointed out, is going to deprive this country not just of them and their human worth, right, their human value, what they bring as human beings to the table, but the tax that they bring in that we all benefit from, whether we are undocumented or not. It doesn't make any sense, but it does make sense when you think about sort of the evil cartoon character nature of the administration we're dealing with right now.
Right. Well, according to Axios, they might get more the first year because they will withhold any tax refunds that were due to those undocumented persons. But in subsequent years, we could see a huge fiscal impact. So it's weird. And also, then per your point, they can say, well, you didn't pay taxes, so now you don't qualify for citizenship. Green card holders, the Trump administration is now targeting some green card holders, and apparently they've slowed down the processing of new green cards, saying they want to do more vetting.
Yes, this is, again, proof that the lie is a lie. Because the lie that was told, as you pointed out earlier, is that, the people that we're really focused on are the people that are, quote unquote, criminalized criminals. And, that's who we're undocumented criminals. That's who we're concerned about. No, now they're going after folks who are green card holders, not just while they're in this country, but we're hearing reports of people being detained coming back to the country, right?
Yeah.
So you're allowed to leave the country if you have a green card. And now it's like if you were supposed to come back, on October 10th and you came back on October 12th, in the past when they didn't care because all they cared about was that you came back, now people are finding themselves handcuffed and taken away. Again, what is the point? Do you want people to be regularized, or do you just not want Black and brown Asian folks to be in this country? You're trying to make it white, trying to empty it out.
Yeah. They're talking about a Trump slump where tourism is down because people from this country probably don't feel welcome, but also because, it's people don't want to be detained at the border. That this Canadian woman that was coming into the country, they said she took irregular trips to try to get her visa to the border and held her for 2 weeks. And she had a visa. That doesn't make me want to come here and to visit.
Absolutely. French scientists stopped when he came in at the airport, coming to a conference. They had a visa, regular visa, came in, because you can't come into this country through the airport without having that. They won't even let you on the plane. You know that, Dominique. They check the passport, check everything, before you get in. Gets here, and they tell him they want to search his phone, and they found something that was, quote, disparaging to the Trump administration, end quote, told him he had to go. He couldn't come into the country.
Yeah.
That's not how immigration works. That's how dictatorship works.
Yeah.
That's how authoritarianism works. But that's not how immigration policy is supposed to work.
Well, yeah, and there's been a lot of talk on the social media arenas, but also in some mainstream papers about how if you're a visa or green card holder and you want to come to the U.S., you have to be mindful of what's on your phone. But I also think about U.S. citizens. I mean, if you or I travel out of the country, which we do, coming back in, if they're going to search my phone, and I've seen several people with testimonials saying that they've had their phones searched and been forced to open their phone, which I know they can't force you, but what are you going to do? Say no and stay in ICE custody indefinitely? What do you do? I mean, that means I can't take my phone with me when I leave the country. They're going to find stuff that's going to make them mad. I guarantee you.
Well, yeah, that's the situation that I'm in. And, there's some things that I think are basic. I mean, it's amazing. I was talking to my father, 84 years old, lived in this country in the United States for 30 years, now lives back in Ghana. And, we were talking, he's like, this is amazing. Like, he never thought the U.S. would be like this. Because I'm telling him how I'm taking apps off my phone. Because when I go back, I need to have these apps off of my phone. Not because the apps are super secret. I'm not stupid. I'm not the Black Liberation Army sitting up and I'm doing stuff on the phone. I am not the Secretary of Defense sending all the most
on Signal,
information
right.
through chat. That's not what I'm doing. But I feel like, heck, if it's just talking about disparaging the Trump administration, that's my life. That's what I do every day.
It's your job.
Clearly, that's going to be a problem. Right. I think it's my job. And so I feel like, yeah, but I feel concerned at my big age, being born in the United States, as an attorney, all the things that you know about me and that people who listen to you often and when I'm on know about me. I know that I am at risk of having a problem. And if I'm at risk of having a problem, right, then we know that so many other Black folks, brown folks, etc., who don't have the same privileges that I have are certainly at risk of having a problem. And so, that's a strange world. I've been traveling since I was 2 years old. I've never felt the way that I feel right now about coming back into the United States.
Well, according to The Guardian, the Border Patrol or Border Police can search your devices. They can force you. Is that true?
Well, they can search your devices, but they can't force you to give up your password. So some basic things, which we've been saying to people anyway, because, again, as Black folks, we should already know this because we're criminalized people, that your phone can be searched by law enforcement. Of course, there's supposed to be certain parameters, but it doesn't mean they're just going to, they will just not follow the law and take your phone. So, don't be one of those people that uses your fingerprint to open your phone or uses your eye to open your phone, because the Supreme Court has said they can force your fingerprint onto that phone. They can pry your eyes open to make you look at that phone. So make sure that you have a password or some kind of code, trace code or whatever that thing is with the buttons, or both if you can. Obviously, do as much as you can to take apps, et cetera, off of your phone. When you get back, to where you need to be, you can put them back on and continue on with your life. But yes, they can take the phone. And as you said, if you say, I'm not going to give you the password, it's not like they go, oh, shucks, and they snap their fingers and move on. They're going to potentially hold you there while they try to figure out how to get into the phone. But, you've got to decide what you're willing to do. You know me, Dominique, I'm a take it to the wall type of chick. But everyone's not like that, and I think that's reasonable. But knowing what is allowed and what isn't is really important. I mean, with a U.S. citizen, they are supposed to have certain parameters or standards before they go into your phone that are obviously higher than if you're a visa holder or a green card holder. But just know that they will violate all of that and be prepared for that violation.
Now, this briefing says that if you're a U.S. citizen, they have to let you into the country. But they can also work with the police and the FBI to investigate you. So in reality, you could get in and still be detained, right?
Correct. It's like you could still be held just so that they can, make sure of X, Y, and Z, whatever the story is. Make sure you're not a spy. Make sure that you're not a terrorist. Make sure that there's not some special secret reason why you won't let them in the phone. You can hear it now, Dominique. Why can't I look in the phone? If you don't have anything to hide, why won't you let me look in the phone, right? And so then that leads to the things that it leads to.
Right.
Right. But, and so you just have to be prepared for that eventuality. Don't come back without telling people that you're coming back. Let people know what airport you're coming into, when you're supposed to come in, share the flight information so they can track it. It's unfortunate, but, that's what the United States is right now.
And they're saying turn off your devices before you come into the U.S. and don't, go across the border reading your phone and, typing away. Turn it off, put it away, turn off your laptop so that it's less likely that they're going to snatch it. And it also says don't get a burner phone, because that was my idea. I'll just get a burner phone for when I travel to Africa. But apparently that makes them suspect you're a terrorist. So WTF.
Right. See, that's what they say. The burner phone, it's not that you can't get it, but then it's like, well, why you got a burner phone?
Right.
Especially in this day and age. In the past, right, you could have a phone. Like we all had an extra phone, a Ghana phone, an international phone. You stuck a SIM card in, you could get away with it. But now it's like they know your phone works in these other countries that you could just pay the little plan and move on with your life. So they're not going to go for it if you're doing that. The main thing, though, is to be calm, right? The main thing is to be calm, to breathe, to not give up information that's not necessarily to give up, to follow sort of the freedom mantras. Am I free to leave? I don't want to talk to you. I want my attorney. I don't consent. Pick amongst those, the ones that are relevant. And, don't try to explain your way out of the issue. Because if they decide that they want to search your phone, there's no super secret thing you're going to say about who you are and what you do and all of that. It's going to
right, unless your last name is Trump, you can forget it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if you're married Trump, that might be a problem. Right?
Yeah,
You got to be one of the Trumps that's on his side.
Yeah, right. Exactly. We're talking with attorney Nana Gyamfi, and when we come forward, I want to have you unpack a little bit this recent order, I guess, command, edict, revoking protections for Cubans, Haitians, and others. It's a whole bunch. It's like 500,000 people. I want to see what your thoughts are. What does it mean? Attorney Nana Gyamfi is my guest on KBLA Talk 1580.
The station you turn to when you've had it up to here with cultural incompetence. KBLA Talk 1580.
We asked seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up. Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone. And should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Check your statement every month.
If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 reminds you, when we fight, we win. The Youth Justice Coalition is challenging America's addiction to incarceration and discrimination. YJC works to dismantle policies leading to mass incarceration, law enforcement violence, and the school-to-prison pipeline. Their approach, transformative justice, community intervention, free LA high school, legal defense, and system monitoring. YJC promotes safety without relying on prisons. Their goal, prevent system contact and help people exit the system through direct action, advocacy, and education. Want to get involved or need help? Call 323-235-4243. That's 323-235-4243. Join YJC in creating change. When we fight, we win. KBLA Talk 1580, your voice for justice. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Hey there, Los Angeles.
This is James Lucky Jr., publisher and editor of Los Angeles News Observer. Are you hungry for news that matters to you in the African American communities of Los Angeles? Well, buckle up, because we got the scoop you've been craving. Stay in the know and never miss a beat with our free weekly publications conveniently available near you. Or hop on the digital wave and become an exclusive subscriber at OGNSC.com. Don't forget to join the party on Instagram and Twitter at OGNSCINC for behind-the-scenes access and sizzling updates. No more FOMO. Let's stay informed, connected, and empowered together.
Find a righteous rage and don't be afraid to say what you see. We're KBLA Talk 1580.
BAJI, Black Alliance for Just Immigration. You can find them at InstaBAJI on Instagram, and I forget what the Twitter one is. Attorney Nana Gyamfi, their executive director, is my guest. What's your Twitter?
It's at BAJI Tweets.
BAJI, at BAJI Tweets, and then it's BAJI.org for the website. So the administration is revoking temporary legal status, it says, for 500,000 people from Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, and Venezuela. These are people that were in the country under a Biden administration program, process, whatever, CHNV. What does that mean? How impactful is this?
Very impactful, as you said, over 500,000 people that will be impacted. And again, this just goes to prove that the lie is the lie. The people who are in the CHNV program stands for the countries that were covered: Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, and Venezuela. Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, Venezuela. And you had to go through a process that's really rigorous. This is only for people that could fly into the country, not for people that, for example, were coming across the border, by foot, by car, et cetera. You have to be able to fly in, which means you have to have a passport. Think about these countries we're talking about. And you had to have the capacity to buy an airline ticket to come into the country that had a return. You can't just have a ticket. The program was a 2-year program, and for example, in the case of Haiti, so it wasn't like the program was so long, but it was long enough to give people the capacity, because of the conditions in their country, to not have to sit in the house on fire, but to be able to escape the house on fire, come to the United States. If they were vetted, they had to have a family member or someone, sometimes organizations did it, that would be their sponsor, put up the finances, all of these pieces. So these are people who are super vetted, have money or capacity to have income, come into the country, have the capacity to get a work permit, to begin to support themselves, their families, and remember, through the taxes, the communities that they're in, bringing all the other cultural and human pieces, and now suddenly they're the horrible people that you got to get rid of? Come on now, right? Again, it's clearly not, these are not people that snuck through. These are not people that, haven't been inspected, no, these are the people that you have vetted as if they were trying to be U.S. citizens. And yet, and let them in. So they passed the vetting process. And you still are ending the program and sending them back to the fire. The cruelty is not just the point. The cruelty is actually the commitment.
Yeah. Okay, so, I'm trying to squeeze all this stuff in before we run out of time here. The upping of enforcement, are you able to detect a clear pattern with BAJI that slants against the so-called Ishhole countries or black people in this latest wave of enforcement measures?
Yes, we are. We have more black migrants proportionally than we are finding in detention prisons. You see this convergence that's being pushed of even more of policing and immigration enforcement, so that police to deportation pipeline has been just thrown wide open. And because black people are over-policed, black immigrants are over-policed. And so, again, we're disproportionately, over 80% ending up going into that detention, police to deportation pipeline. You also see it in the banned countries or proposed ban. There's 43 countries, 28 of them happen to be African or Caribbean countries, majority black countries. anything that you look at in terms of the policies that are being implemented right now, you find that they are the anti-Black in that Black people are disproportionately impacted in the common ways that Black people generally are disproportionately impacted. And so we're definitely seeing it, and our community members are seeing it, and they are, speaking up and getting engaged and doing things in ways that they weren't before, including Black Americans, because, again, folks are married to Black Americans. Their kids hang out. They go to work together, doing other things together. I understand that there are things and places where there's division, but that division is so much smaller than the ways in which we are actually engaged together that, and it's showing and it's coming out in what's happening now. I got Black churches talking about being sanctuary for folks. I ain't never had that.
Right.
Never. But that's how people are feeling right now.
Because Black people are getting hit with this. What about that list? The list is actually saying these are countries, there's 3 tiers. One is, nah, you ain't getting a visa. The other is, it's going to take a long time to get a visa. And the third is, I don't know what. But they're basically countries where they're going to make it very difficult for folks to come in. And you said 28 of those are majority Black?
Yeah, the majority Black. So it's like Chad, I'm telling you, Chad, Benin, St. Kitts and Nevis, Dominica, Antigua, and Barbuda. What could possibly Antigua and Barbuda have done? Like, literally, Liberia, which is a country that the U.S. is usually really cool with, right? Countries on there that you don't even see what the beef is, and countries you'd expect that they have a beef with, like South Africa. South Africa's not on that list. So that's why I think it's really what do they call it, extortion list. That is clearly not a list based upon immigration. It's like, are you going to try to jump these people into your Panama Canal thing? Are you going to make them a coalition of the willing as you go to try to take over Greenland? Or is this where you're going to be trying to twist their arm to dump immigrants and U.S. criminalized, prisoners into? But it's something going on. It is not about immigration.
Wow. Okay, there's like 12 different things I didn't get to, but we are out of time, including they're going after the New York Times now for their immigration reporting. Attorney Nana Gyamfi, as usual, it's been very enlightening. Thank you so much for joining me this morning.
Thank you so much for having me. Love to be on. Looking forward to coming back.
Yeah, let us know what airport and what day so we can be there waiting for you.
I will.
All right. News, traffic, and sports, and then it's time for Wealth Building Wednesday on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with 4 Things You Should Know with BIN News. President Trump said his national security advisor has learned a lesson after adding